Welcome to Star Talks, everybody. This is the season finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Today we have our live performance or podcast.
We're doing it live.
Yes.
Wow.
You know,
Look at us.
we're moving along.
We don't have no Twitch recording.
I know.
Anybody
recording this? Stop screen recording!
I wish we had Sophia here just so that she could be here with a blank face. Never changing.
Just her, just stationary, like.
Damn, we're not gonna get like really cool anecdotes about like individual things we don't know about.
Yo,
Yeah.
Sophia, leave the comments down below, please.
Yeah.
Just you.
Yeah, just
Only you. Everyone else
Only
is disabled.
Sophia.
Let's do a voiceover
Right.
of her like interjecting fun facts. She can just pop up in the text and be like, "Did you know?" I would love that.
Oh, that'd be
man.
fire, actually.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of comments.
Yeah. It'll just be like the clip art little like paper clip, but it's Sophia.
Yo, we get like little cartoon animation.
Yeah.
I love that. I would love
That'd be
that.
amazing.
Anyway, so this is the series finale.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
6 episodes.
Wow.
And we're done.
And I'm like seriously impressed with y'all for that. I haven't been able to make any of them, but I'm seriously impressed.
Yeah,
with
welcome to
your
the show.
consistency.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
wait, this is
Wel-
your first
welcome
Star
to
Talk.
the
Yeah, that's
Yes.
my first one. First
Lay out
one.
the
Finally
brown
made it.
carpet.
Yeah. It used to be a different color. Just shitting on my apartment while I'm
I'm sorry. I was like, it's a coffee brown. Like, it's a gray brown.
Good save. Good save.
I live at home.
Right. Yes. This is okay. Chris, welcome to the show. Anyway.
I'm so grateful to be here.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So since being the first, you're our guest on here. What was your overall thoughts of this episode?
Honestly, I thought this episode was good for what the story should be. It's an Obi-Wan tale, so I didn't expect too much climactic, storylines or anything that was going to be like universe or world changing, because we already know what it is. So I went into it with that, and it just showed more of what Obi-Wan just kind of had to come to terms with, really, and that to me is what it was intended to do, and I feel like it did that pretty well. So overall, I enjoyed it.
Right. I would say that especially these last two episodes, they're pretty good. I think it's because things were happening, things were progressing and stuff like that, and that's more exciting than things not happening.
Yeah. Been bland, poor guy.
Super profound.
I was happy to see the Darth Vader Obi-Wan fight. Spoiler alert. I was happy with a lot of the things that I saw with it. As far as an individual episode, I thought it was a really good episode. As an individual episode.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, this episode was actually really well done. I personally just love the interpersonal struggle between Obi-Wan and Anakin or Darth Vader. I genuinely really loved the internal strife that they had, as well as just the choreography of the fight scene was very well done. I loved all of it. The only gripe I have, I wish it was only that.
Only that fight scene?
Well, I wish it was just a fight scene.
That will be my genuine
cuts.
feedback. Yeah.
I was like,
all jokes aside,
I wish
that's
they cut to black.
Roll credits?
Roll credits, we're done. No, I genuinely because I feel like that's what the story should have always been about. It should have been focused on the anger with Anakin, with Obi-Wan, and the regret with Obi-Wan in terms of Anakin. And I feel like it always deviated with the incorporation of Leia, with the incorporation of Reva. And everyone here should generally know my thoughts. Oh, well, probably not you, but but I think everyone, for the most part, I really did not like the interpretation of Leia, even though I understand mechanically how she works, if she's just a flat arc character, all that jazz. But I generally wish there was an arc for her, and I never got that.
Yeah.
I feel like she was consistently this character all throughout. She was just Leia as an adult, as a child, and that's weird to see.
Yeah.
And it really did make it in the sense of, I can't empathize with this character if you've always been this person, and it kind of does distort my vision of Leia, where there wasn't any hint of doubt with you. And in one aspect, that's kind of cool, but in another aspect, it makes
You're 10.
yeah,
You're
you're a
10.
child. And even in the show, it's just like, hey, I'm not gonna give you a blaster because you're 10. And I kind of wish they did that in episode like 2. It was like, hey, you are a child.
Yeah.
You know, but
he does give her the blaster.
He does.
Yeah.
He
Which
was
we
gonna
love.
blast her.
We're
We're here for it. Yeah, and you know,
America.
yeah. But generally speaking, those are my gripes. Reva's arc, I thought was a bit contrived, but even in that sense, it does actually explain a lot in her arc. Her arc is actually very solid. It's just very. It's very much what you expect.
From
Like it's
Fly,
very
right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, not Reva, where it's like
Oh,
it's very much by the books in
Yeah.
terms of like you very much expect this to be what Reva is going to do.
It
But-
just felt with Reva, it was like this, like, I feel like if you're going to do Reva justice, she needs to have her own thing, right? Because it's too many things, like you were saying. Like, I agree with you. I think it should, if they were, the story they set out to tell was essentially just to tell Obi-Wan that, like, yes, this is, to explain his ideology of, like, why he never told Luke about the fact that his dad was Vader,
Yeah.
right? Because Obi-Wan now fully believes that his friend is dead, you know, and I think they really nail on that in the finale of that fight, you know.
Yeah.
To have that was one of my highlights of this whole series, was this beautiful moment with Obi-Wan where he was like, I'm sorry, Anakin, I'm sorry, like, I'm so sorry for what happened. And, like, again, Ewan McGregor, pulling out all the stops on it, like, he just nails it
Yeah,
when it
he
comes
ki-
to
he
it,
killed
you know?
it.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
amazing.
No, fortunately, he is the focus of the
Yeah.
show. Because
Which
I
is
think
great,
everything
yeah.
else falters.
Yes,
Anything that's
yeah.
outside of him, and even the relationships that aren't established from
Yeah.
previous series,
Yeah.
they're really whack. Like
Yeah.
they're just
Yeah.
they're really empty.
Very watered
Who's,
down.
who's the lady
No,
that
no.
died with the thermal detonator?
Talia,
I don't know.
right?
Talia?
Exactly. I was about to say that.
Who? Don't ask
I
me.
don't know.
Like,
Who's the lady
yeah.
from Game
Yeah,
of Thrones?
but-
That's all I know.
Was she in Game of Thrones?
She died in Game of
Oh,
Thrones
yes, she
too.
was. She did die in Game of Thrones. Was it?
Keep going. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just don't want you to get cut off from the camera, bro.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah. No, yeah. I forgot she was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And you know, it's cool to see her act because I actually knew her from Luther from like
Yeah,
the other
she's in
shows.
Luther,
And she's
too.
amazing in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Generally speaking, there are just so many characters that I generally didn't care about. I didn't really care about Kamal's arc, if he even had an arc. I think it was just a cameo for the sake of a cameo.
No, and that's what every celebrity
Yeah.
and just all
I
of
will
those were so pointless.
I will
Everyone
say,
played on those roles.
I'm never gonna be mad at O'Shea Jackson getting that
I
Disney money.
hated him more than anything.
Oh,
He was my main issue. To be quite honest, I
That's
hated him.
why
more
are
than
you
anyone.
here?
Okay, I'll spray my original. Let's run that back.
That's a crazy.
That was wild.
Yeah.
I'll share my just general thoughts, and then I need to get in the O'Shea Jackson hate. Like I just need to lay that down.
So get out there.
Yeah, we just gotta lay it down. If
Yeah.
Ice Cube wants to come at me, he can come at me. I'll deal with the consequences.
He's coming in the door right now.
Yeah, it's like, I heard what you said.
Somehow for this,
I
this
know.
is live stream right now.
I see
No.
right behind the mirror. What'd you say?
It's just
No,
right.
I would take that back. If I see
Star Talks.
But no, generally speaking, I did like the last 2 episodes. I think this episode does justice to the relationship of Leia and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I did think going into this, it was fun to focus on Leia and Obi-Wan
Me
as
too.
opposed to Luke and Obi-Wan. Thought that was a great perspective.
Yeah.
Did think Leia was too much of like a precocious kid.
Yeah.
That was really annoying. I do think she grew into understanding her role as a princess and how she can utilize it. So I think narratively speaking, she got there, but I don't know if the story really lent itself to it
It's
so
not
much
her
as
story.
Right, it
Yeah.
isn't. But they landed where they needed to. I'm just not sure that they really took the steps they needed
Yeah,
to get there. They
yeah.
just ended up at point B and they
Yeah.
needed to be there.
And I
But-
feel that too with Leia, because I was totally like, I was totally ready to not want to watch this series because to me I was like, this is the 4th thing of the in between that they've tried to give us, and for me,
in
for a
between
while-
meaning Revenge and
yeah, in between
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, this was like.
Like the bridge.
Yeah, just a whole other thing they were trying to give us in between, and I was expecting them to have, be like, oh, what's Luke been up to, whatever. So I was really excited that we went into Leia because I've always felt like Leia in the Star Wars saga has never really gotten any kind of like time to be someone other than what everyone needs her to be. But they've never really made that a point for her character.
Yeah.
They've always just made that the role of her character.
That's
But
been a
this-
largely like
but that's-
unexplained relationship
But that's
with
always
Obi-Wan
like,
and Leia.
but that's also my biggest gripe with the show, right? Where it's like, I feel like it would have been really intriguing to have a whimsical Leia, right? Where it's like, even in the sense that she's still grounded as a character, like she still thinks realistically, even as a child. I'm fine with that. But even just idealizing what her parents could be, and then maybe these slight conversations that she has with Obi-Wan, where maybe he slips up, maybe he crushes her idea of what her parents are, and the idealization that the world that she's building based off of her parents isn't what she actually thinks it is.
Yeah.
Now, like playing off of that would be kind of interesting.
I think
Where, like,
having
the
her not
kicker-
know that she's adopted. I don't know why that's something that might have been kind of a cheap move, but I
mean,
think that's something to build from.
That's
Yeah.
also something.
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
go
but
for. Like,
they run into an issue with trying to build from that because of the fact that Leia didn't even know until after Luke knew that she in the original trilogy, Leia had no idea that she and Luke were brothers. Leia didn't, it never alluded to the fact if she knew that she was adopted or not. If anything, it made, for me watching it, I always figured Leia didn't know she was adopted until Luke told her, that he was her brother, Darth Vader was her father. For Leia, Alderaan and her parents were always her parents. The kicker is that the prequel never shows her parents or Senator Organa to be anything but a freaking straight and narrow good dude.
But that was the leeway of the storytelling where it was never explicitly told that Leia did or didn't know that she was adopted. So like it makes sense in terms of taking that avenue. Like maybe she did know, maybe she did figure it out. So I understand that aspect.
Especially if she's like a force sensitive and can literally fly through space and time without dying.
Yeah.
I think the fact that like
So that's like an age Leia.
She can utilize.
That's after knowing she's force sensitive.
Sure, but like
before knowing
After she was kicking Luke's ass, apparently,
exactly.
like indoor.
Wow.
Like Leia, and they've grown to show that force sensitive people, unless they have some actual like physical like thing to see that they are force sensitive, just won't even know. Like Luke being able to shoot, wombats at his T-16 or whatever, like to him that's just, I'm really skilled as a marksman. But no, that's the force that allows him to shoot like that. Or in the first, Star Wars, where Anakin's an excellent pod racer, right? If Liam Neeson had never been there to be the asshole that I've already brought up him to be, then
If we've seen our
a little callback.
Watch the Order 66 episode.
But if Liam Neeson had never been there, everyone would have just assumed that if Anakin had won, it had just been skill as a pod racer, and that's it. Like if you don't, I think that it's a point in that world, and they have done that in the world building, that even with Rey, unless someone tells you you're force sensitive, you could be using the force and have no idea. It just seems like a thing that's happened. It just seems like you're lucky.
So were you relating that to Leia's confidence or her?
Well, I was relating that to what Fuma mentioned about Leia, knowing she's adopted or not because she's force sensitive, right? Even if Leia, had kind of some inkling from the force that she wasn't, she wouldn't assume that she's right.
I feel like she would just
Because
assume
of
it to
the
be an
Force.
instinct.
Yeah.
Right.
She's so self-assured.
She would just be like, it would just be a hunch, and she'd probably go pursue, trying to find out the truth or not. But I feel like she is so, she trusts and loves her parents so much that if they were just like, no, you're not adopted, right? Then Leia herself might just move on to the next freaking like issue at hand in her mind, because they've shown in this show that she's trying to be a freaking senator, like her parents.
Well, again,
she's trying to manage.
It's like, first, she's not. She's from episode 1. She's saying she's not trying to be a senator, and that's her whole thing of trying not to go down the path of her parents. She doesn't want to necessarily be that person that they're trying to make her to be.
Yeah.
But that's not in denial of her parents. Like, she
That's what I'm
adores-
saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like she adores her parents, but she's not going to try to go
Right.
down that route.
I thought
And
okay, so maybe
Because
I
I
think
remember
she
in
was-
episode 1, she just told her mom, was like, I don't want to be a Sonic.
Yeah.
She straight up said that.
but she was dead set in the first one on doing big things, huge things. Would she?
Whatever that may be, though.
Right.
Right.
But you look at that. So I look at that Leia at that young age, and then I look at Luke when he in A New Hope, and his big thing, his thing that he wanted to do was just go travel, just get off of Tatooine. Like he was ready to join the Empire.
Slightly two different planets, although
Right.
it's gorgeous.
Tatooine's
Tatooine.
sand.
I-
Like, shit.
Hey,
It
but
sucks.
Tatooine is 2 for fucking 2 on amazing ass goddamn people to come out of the fucking place.
Fact.
It is not
I think
even
that's
only
hard
2
to
for
see
2.
when you're just milking and like
No,
farming.
no,
But that is,
Yeah.
but get
I
over
would
it.
also stare directly into two suns every day.
But that's what we're
Tatooine.
What else are you
Yeah,
gonna
I
do?
feel like just
But that's
make
what
me
we're
now.
shown. That's what we're shown.
Anything
that's
that's
what
out there, if
you
you're
know?
listening.
Like, please give me something.
But that's what we're shown. That's what they're giving us. It's like they present parameters of the world, but yet they show us how many people are actually able to break those parameters. You know what I mean? Like that's like it's not just about what the world is in Star Wars. It's also about what the message and the themes are in Star Wars that are trying to show us, right? So you have all these people on Tatooine, and you have and Tatooine is this backwoods, you know, fucking place where
It's their Mississippi backroads. I'm
literally
convinced.
you have
It
you've got the
is their
Huts
swamp.
controlling
Word.
shit. You've got
I was gonna say more
Slayer,
Arizona
all this
than-
kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Little
But it was-
Tusken Raiders,
That's a
like
good-
everything.
I
But
also
they're
know
so
Arizona.
good.
Yes.
That goes in theme in terms of what I always loved about Star Wars, where, you know, it really is about this dude in the original trilogy where he's from this backwater planet and he doesn't even realize that he is the most important person in the galaxy, right?
Right.
That, generally speaking, if you look at it from that framework, anyone could have been that person.
That's what Ryan Johnson wanted to say. So why do you hate the only innovative director?
It's not.
In the
Look,
sequels.
look.
Why do you
I
hate
agree-
the
I-
one
wow.
Star Wars
Why do you
movie
hate
that is
creativity,
a little
Eddie?
bit different?
Look, I just want things to be the way they are. No.
I want America.
America! Well, this is the same!
No, for me. It's not the film. It's not the director. Right? Individually, Last Jedi was a good movie. Individually, right?
Yeah.
However, when you deal with a fan base and a lore that is as deep and as deeply rooted within the zeitgeist of not only American culture, I would say globally,
Yeah.
it's huge. My biggest gripe with it is this is the one where it took Luke Skywalker and it completely broke with who he was as a person. He literally learned the lessons of his father, right? And that's what made him the chosen one.
Well, that's not necessarily that's the one thing I will always give him credit for, where he didn't necessarily break his character.
He 100% did.
Not
100%.
necessarily-
Oh,
not-
fuck.
no,
I think
not
honestly
really.
he went
so.
down the same path as every failed Jedi before him,
Exactly.
which is going
Like-
back,
It's the exact same.
Like,
thing.
basically
he's-
sullenly going
He's
to like
being
a cave.
he's being a stickler to the rules of what a Jedi is, and the Jedi
Got it.
order and the rules that are established within
Yeah.
that are fucking broken. And if they're not broken, they are restrictive of what a human being is capable of doing, which means they're not able to emote
Right.
and be a human being.
Luke
So it's like-
Skywalker, Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi is Obi-Wan Kenobi in this series.
No.
Yes, he is. Luke
Oh.
Skywalker is someone who felt he failed his apprentices. He failed his Padawans. And what did he do when he thought he did?
Sure.
He
In
secluded
that- in
himself
that aspect,
and
yes.
actually kept himself away
So how are they
from
different?
dealing with
So
any other.
I would say that the big difference between one is that one is Luke Skywalker and the other one is no.
That's your point.
That's actually a
Next
good point.
question.
You know, a good
You
point.
bring up a good point. I feel for me is that like he like in the I'm losing Empire.
Empire Strikes Back?
No,
The Last
no,
The Last Jedi.
The
No.
holiday special.
You love that one.
Beautiful. That's the best one.
I don't know what they did with their makeup on that one, but that person needs to be fired. Okay.
A New Hope, Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Just
Just
go
go
with
there.
Yeah.
I don't know what my brain's like.
Rise of Skywalker?
No. But like, in Return of the Jedi, it's taking his father's his father obviously fell to the dark side, right?
Mhm.
And by him Luke Skywalker refusing to fight his father, right? Saying, I will not fight you, and having the Emperor attack him because he won't fight, right? Because he's choosing the light side. That right there, that's a fundamental core feature of who Luke Skywalker is.
But we also have to attribute that in the same vein that it doesn't necessarily mean that he's not susceptible to the
But why would a person
right?
go from, okay, I'm not going to act in violence, to then going, hey, this guy has a little bit of darkness in him. Kind of reminds me of my father.
Because you're a person. That's what it is.
Because Luke Skywalker has been told his entire time as a Jedi, since he's known Ben, he's been told the entire time that his bloodline is too powerful. That his bloodline could actively decide the fate of the galaxy. So when he is training someone of his bloodline and he feels the slightest inkling that maybe something might go wrong, yeah, it's still kind of extreme.
Yeah.
But I don't know. When he's
Literally
literally gone through and
Right.
seen
Literally
what
your
people of his
father.
bloodline
Sure,
do.
you can look. We can argue up the wazoo on whether or not this is a genuine representation of Luke Skywalker. For me, at the end of the day, if the literal man Mark Hamill says that this is not who Luke Skywalker is, I'm taking his bet on that.
Every
Mark,
single
he
Hamill-
walked that back. He was like, I didn't mean that, guys.
Also, because Mark Hamill ain't right, Luke Skywalker.
But also,
He created Luke Skywalker.
the thing that I personally didn't like about The Last Jedi, where it's I generally, even though I might disagree, I can't argue against it because it is still in line with who Luke Skywalker is in the sense of the responsibility he has as Luke Skywalker.
Skywalker.
See, I was gonna slide.
I was letting it slide.
Yeah, I was like,
We know Luke Skywalker.
We were looking at it slide.
No,
I'm checking the balls.
yo, you're only gonna let me one.
I like how Pumbaa's so nonchalant. It was just I see the Skywalker.
Yeah.
And it was like
So
Skywalker.
what I was gonna say, Luke Skywalker, I understand it, so I'm not gonna argue against it because it makes sense fundamentally as a character. Fuck no!
You really had to think about it when you were Luke Skywalker.
I heard what I said. It was
Walking
I can't
across
repeat
the sky.
twice.
Okay, alright.
No, but the gripe that I have
With who?
with not Luke Skywalker, it really comes down to Finn and other supporting roles with it, where it's just that was disrespectful.
Yeah.
I want to.
You know what I mean? That's
Okay.
the thing. That's the thing where it's I understand that you want to establish Rey and get her character arc to be different from other characters, as well as Adam Driver's character.
Oh, Kylo.
Kylo.
I do Kylo.
Because
I love me some Kylo.
Kylo,
Come on.
because Kylo was actually my favorite part about it. But generally speaking,
Adam Driver did a great job.
to me, Finn also played an integral role that was underdeveloped. And it's such
trilogy.
It's such a missed opportunity, bro. Even if he wasn't the protagonist, which I generally think he should have been the protagonist, but even if he wasn't, why the fuck did he not try to? Why didn't you start the Stormtrooper Rebellion? Why didn't you try to give him an arc that's not just restarting his arc? Because that's essentially what's happening.
Well, because he was afraid, and then he was afraid again, and then he was afraid again.
He's always
nice. Yeah.
Ray, but that's
Ray?
But that's
I have something to tell you.
Thank God.
But that's the thing where that's the thing where it's every other character to me, other than Luke, Kylo Ren, and Ren, is just which is also Kylo Ren is crazy with Ren, but it's just crazy to me how those are the only characters that I feel were actually developed and had an arc. Every other character to me was just there.
Yeah.
It was just they were just they were just to pad time to a certain extent.
You are not wrong.
Which is just why the fuck you had such an opportunity to flesh out these characters, to flesh out the world, and expand on it to a landscape that we haven't seen in Star Wars. Why aren't we talking about the Stormtroopers who aren't clones?
Because
who
they're
are
not
just people
because
who
they're
are
not
just-
Skywalker.
And that's the
Because
problem.
they're not Skywalker.
But that's the problem that I had, where it's just no, dude, I'm not going to give you credit and say that this is a great movie. It's not a great movie. You're innovative when it comes to the characters that you wanted to be innovative, but every other character generally didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It genuinely didn't push push the narrative forward
I
in
totally
terms
see
of
that.
what's actually happening for everyone
I
else.
totally see that, but
Like-
I put that less on him and more so on the fact that this was such a disjointed trilogy.
Yeah.
Like
Well-
the fact that they didn't even know who was going to be doing the final chapter
Yeah,
of it.
but-
It's kind of
I
hard
don't think
having
they
to
planned
know
this
where to
trilogy
put
out
these
at all.
characters,
I mean,
especially at a midpoint,
I
and you
have-
don't have a plan.
I have to put some blame on him. Where it's just like, dude, you are the bridge for whoever's gonna end the last
He
trilogy.
didn't write it.
So it's
Right.
just like, dude.
But tell me how it was set up. Like in Force Awakens, what was he given to work with?
Exactly.
Right.
Bro,
There was a lot that was set up, and
there was a lot that was set up.
There was
There's
a
a
lot.
lot that was
so
set
much
up
that was
with
set
no real indication of where it was going. And there wasn't a plan to begin with. So the fact that he was given all these puzzle pieces that ultimately didn't equal a full picture.
This is what I hate about
Then on
J.J.
top of that, they
Abrams,
never told him where they.
is that
where
he's
they-
really
he's
good
supposed to go.
at. He's,
Well,
he's
that's
very
the biggest issue when it comes to the entire trilogy as a whole. At least when it comes to George Lucas, whatever fucking criticism you can have to him in terms of the prequels, whatever in terms of Star Wars,
Man has a story.
which is just ridiculous. He
Yeah.
had a story. He had a plan.
The man had
That
a
was the
beginning,
thing.
middle, and
He
end.
had a plan. Where it's like he
That's a sad bar,
made
though.
the trilogy. It is a crazy
That is
bar.
the sad part of how.
But he had the
But he made
trilogy
it.
planned.
He made it.
This new trilogy was not planned.
Well,
No
that's-
one
that's-
know what the fuck they
The
were doing.
first
with
trilogy was originally one giant screenplay, and it was broken off into 3 other movies.
Because like that's you're an insane person.
Yeah, everybody was like, "This is fucking crazy," and he was like, "Okay." And then you flash forward, 40 years, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna do 3 again." And someone's like, "Oh, did you guys write a whole thing and you got a whole 3-part plan?" Dude, we haven't even wrote the first thing.
It's like, no, but did you think about how much money we're gonna get for
Yeah.
it? It's like, it's gonna be
We
wild,
gotta make
bro.
bro,
bucks.
We're gonna have shows.
Listen.
We got Adam Driver.
But okay, working our way back to Kenobi, because I think it still is relevant. There are characters that don't ultimately amount to anything in
Yeah.
The Last Jedi. How do we
Yeah.
feel about the supporting characters in Kenobi? Let's start with Reva.
Reva sucks, and I don't like her. I mean,
Damn.
like, because the thing is, this episode really did pinpoint everything that I feared, and kind of worse, where it's like the last episode was very, very much full in order in terms of her motivation.
Yeah.
Where
A part of me thought that she was that lady.
no, exactly. Like, it's the same person. Where it's like
Forgot
it's
it.
the same motivation and everything,
Nice
and
sister.
it's very much like the only deviation was that she was gonna kill Darth Vader instead of being like complicit with whatever Darth Vader is doing out of fear. But even in this episode, her arc was just so arbitrary. It's like it didn't matter.
It was shoehorned
It didn't
in.
matter.
Yeah.
They did
Like-
it for the runtime, and they did it because, I mean, the character's really cool. The character's very cool, and I think they could have. But the problem is that they were trying to do a what do you fucking call them? 9 Sisters? Is that what her name? Is that
Third
what her-
sister.
The third
Yeah,
sister.
yeah.
They're trying to do all those characters, right? Or the Inquisitors rather. Like that would be a series all on its own, right there, where they can character develop all of them, and they couldn't develop the ones that were on screen.
Yeah.
One of them was like, "I'm gonna tell on you,"
Yeah.
and that was all he did.
And I was scared he was going to tell him.
I was.
I was
too.
like, what are you going to say?
But then he
I
just-
actually liked him for
he
the
just
2
did.
seconds I saw him.
He was cool, but like,
Yeah.
He just, and then
It
he
didn't
did
amount to
he just
anything.
never-
exactly.
yeah, it never
That's the
amounted to
thing. They're trying to shoehorn an Inquisitors.
Sorry.
No, please.
I couldn't hear you.
My phone died. Keep time.
Oh.
We're at 6 minutes.
I got you.
Reva. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what are we still? We're still
We're
good.
still recording.
Okay.
Yeah, we're-
Well, I think my thing with Reva, I actually had a moment while I was watching her in this final episode to where I realized why I think I don't like her very much. And I think it's because most Star Wars villains have some sort of visual indicator or something that makes them special. You have kind of the old, scary Palpatine
Super
that's
wrinkly.
like, right.
Like,
You have Snoke,
hey,
he's like
motherfucker.
very, he's like alien
Direct
looking.
quote. Yeah.
Kylo Ren has the mask.
Exactly.
Darth Maul, clearly. Count Dooku's maybe like a little bit of a change, but he has like that regal look.
Count Dooku's that one. Count Dooku's
Count-
that one. He's
Count-
like that
Count
one
Dooku had
uncle
that-
that shows up to the dark side
Yeah.
reunion, and
He
everybody's
had-
like,
He has like a
We didn't
voice
see
about
you in
him
it.
that's
He had
like
that-
really interesting.
He also had that drip.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It was looking good.
That's
No,
what I'm
like,
saying.
Reva's, like everyone has a thing.
Yeah.
Reva's literally just a fucking chick and like a cape.
She's
like
just an
there's
angry
nothing.
girl. No, she
I
should-
feel like if she had like scars or
A
something that
helmet.
can add to
A
her,
helmet.
something that I think gives her some sort of
Well,
backstory outside of being
Just an
It
Grand
escapes.
Inquisitor, or just an Inquisitor.
right or a former Padawan.
I'm not
It's just
necessarily-
it's missing character.
I'm not
in her
necessarily
visual.
mad at that, but where it's like her design does look cool. It's just more so.
What stands out about her design?
Well, to me, it's just like the way she carries her
Damn, bro.
the braids.
Yeah.
Look, we know
the
that
braids.
many black folk in Star Wars,
We know what happened.
so we know that braids is easy to come by.
I will say like how it's more so to me is how you carry yourself as well as these characteristics in terms of your attributes of your physical appearance. Where I'm looking at the design of Darth Vader, and yeah, it's intimidating, but also it's just how he walks through a room.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
presence that I
there's
think each
different-
villain has. Same with Count Dooku. Count Dooku doesn't have anything visual.
maybe that was the
but there's
point.
a presence.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's
that's
like-
the thing
yeah,
with Reva that I always was kind of weird. Where to me, you were just an angry person, and it always was hinting at the fact of there's a reason why you're angry.
Right.
But what the reveal was something that was very predictable, and it didn't accumulate to anything.
Yeah.
And we all knew that it couldn't.
Predictability
The
is not
minute that
necessarily a
was
bad
revealed.
thing.
Right, yeah, I don't think predictability is necessarily
Like
bad.
because we're all like
It
the
is-
zeitgeist of like film knowledge
Yeah.
is growing every single time.
Exponentially.
Yeah, every single time a film is produced and people watch it, the understanding grows further from that on like techniques and stuff. So I don't think like necessarily that
Well,
it's a bad thing that she's predictable. I think if anything, maybe just giving her like a helmet or
Yeah.
something. But like I think the problem with that was that would have been too Fallen Order like,
But
and that was
But
what they're
she's
trying
so
to
one
get.
note
no,
yeah.
as it
And
stands.
that's
So give her
something too.
something.
But that's what I
Right.
mean, where it's like it's not the essence of predictability that's a problem with Reva, but it's the essence of I have literally seen this in a Star Wars
Right,
thing
so what makes her
before.
different?
No.
Just give her
Right.
something.
But that's
Right?
what I'm- and
Anything.
But that's not
That's
a star.
Thank you. I'd be like, okay,
But that's
so
not enough.
she's
But that's-
hardened.
But to Fuma's point,
But that's not
with,
enough.
With the
You know what I'm saying?
predictability, I do think in this regard, the predictability does give it fall.
Exactly.
I think
we
it's a
all-
whole series.
Yeah, but
It's
like
not just Reva.
no,
Yeah.
it is with Reva specifically because they've been setting up the
Who's-
fact that
who's in
she's
the
this
Right.
angry revenge thing. So I was talking about like everybody else in the series, everything else in the series is predictable and it's fine though. But with Reva, the fact that she was an angry Inquisitor, already a given because she's on the dark side. The fact that she's desperately searching for Obi-Wan. Predictable. You're on the dark side. You're a Grand Inquisitor. You're trying to become Grand Inquisitor. I get it. But the whole time you're thinking to yourself, she's the one person that doesn't look as corrupted as everybody else there. So you already know from that
She
that
might have
she's-
been a Jedi.
she might have been a Jedi, or she's probably gonna end up good. And then Episode 5, she points out that
She was a young lady.
You're not
Right.
here to you want to kill him.
you want to kill Vader, and it's like, and then right at that moment, once that line is said, Reva's character has nowhere to go anymore because we all know
Well, I think
she's
it's-
not.
But
killing
did you
Vader.
care about where she was going before?
I did because I,
did.
didn't know.
Bro, stop.
No,
I talked
I
to
did.
both of you guys. Nobody
cared.
was interested in Reva.
I was
No,
interested in
I was
Reva
hope-
because even though I knew how this story is going to end, this character could have still done something to surprise me. But the
Maybe
minute
we lost
that,
hope early.
yeah, the
Y'all
minute that
y'all
line
gave
is
up.
given, the minute that line
Well,
is
it looked
given,
like the
it's
train
confirmed
headed
that
to
it can't.
nowhere. Like
Well, no,
from the
because
jump, it did.
well, because with Reva, it was always the hope of it's not. It literally, to me at least, it's the fact that I have seen this in Star Wars. It's the fact that I've seen this in the universe. I've seen this arc already, not too fucking long ago. Like Fallen Order was like what, like a year ago,
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
So it's like, why are we rehashing an arc that I've already seen? As well as the fact that Reva could be something different if there was enough time and effort put into making something different with this.
Right.
If there was
How would
genuinely enough time, and
Was
then
she
and
the
if
Grand
nothing else,
Inquisitor?
if they couldn't do anything, why the fuck are we spending time with Reva? Because at the end of this episode, I'm genuinely just like, what was the point of your arc?
She was a resolving conflict.
Exactly.
She stops her own threat.
Exactly.
It's
So
like
it's
no
like,
one.
what was
They
the
don't
point?
even know where Luke is. He could have been dead and married. They
Yeah.
would have never known.
I saw two predictable elements, and a first episode I literally said out loud. My roommate was like, "Huh." because I
Just like that.
out loud I was like, she's gonna end up a good person. She's gonna end up a good guy, and I wanted to be wrong. And I was
But that's
hoping
also
to be
just a
wrong.
Star Wars trope. So I'm like, oh.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was hoping
then,
that they switched the formula there.
So I think we've talked Reva to death. Well, she not. She almost died.
Yeah.
A little too soon.
She
She. I will say this about Reva. She had the my favorite duel in the entire series.
The Darth Vader duel?
Really?
Yes.
That's
More
your
than
favorite?
Obi-Wan?
Not than right now.
Vader? Really?
I
Okay,
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I can explain a little bit like further if we want to talk about like series overall.
Yeah.
Like for me personally, when it comes down to like my series opinion, it's not necessarily that I hate anything that I'm seeing. I'm actually really happy that I'm seeing a lot of these things. I want to see Darth Vader and Obi-Wan fight. I want to see these conflicts. I want to see Leia and Luke and Obi-Wan's relationship bloom and everything. It just happened too soon.
Yeah.
Everything, and that's I said
That's
it
the
from
biggest problem.
that's the
So
thing
right
that you can't get over with it with a limited series, right? If you make a series, you have to let the characters sit there, right? The fact that we have Obi-Wan who goes from 10 years not doing anything in the Force to then being more powerful than he's ever been in his entire life doesn't make any sense
Well,
to me.
the
I
issue
didn't see
that
that.
the
I
issue
didn't see
that
him more powerful than he's ever been.
yeah.
Him picking up all those damn rocks.
That my exact
That
issue.
was
But
actually-
I'll jump to. We'll get to that.
But I mean, the issue with this, like genuinely, I believe a limited series could work with this because I'm like, for sure. You know what? Yeah, for sure.
They need a Mace Windu fight, please.
They probably could do more seasons. Even watching this episode, I'm like, damn, they might be able to do more seasons. But like,
If this shit makes money, they're making more seasons. That's
No,
what
that's
I'm
what's
saying.
gonna
So
happen.
that's the thing. It,
But
it
no,
would make money.
but the-
It does make money.
but the issue is, it absolutely could exist as a limited series. It just needed 10 episodes. Hell, 12
A longer
episodes.
runtime.
It needed a longer runtime.
Hour.
And this episode alone should have been a fucking hour and a half.
Yeah.
I've never
It
seen a
should have
finale
been
be
like-
39 minutes
Neither
long.
have I.
Like,
In
that's-
my life.
Unless
That's
it's a
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like,
And barely even
Yeah.
then.
And that's like an extra 15 for like a
Yeah.
23 minute.
I'm saying, like, it's just actually ridiculous that it's just the same runtime as the rest of the series, and the fact that it's clearly rushed. Even though I generally did like this episode, it was actually really cool,
Yeah.
but only based on the interpersonal relationship of of Obi-Wan and Vader. But everything else, it was like kind of meh. Whatever, you know, and you know it was cool to see the hole there. Like
Yeah.
that was fun.
Yeah.
Like there were a lot
Finally
of
got our
really fun. Yeah,
Maybe that was the key the whole time.
That's
Oh,
all we was
yeah.
waiting for.
actually,
I'm
I'm
glad
not.
they didn't meme reference too much.
Yeah,
That's something
yeah.
that No Way Home pissed me off about a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah,
But I'm happy we got a little hello there.
Yeah.
You know, like the hello there is you need to have that.
Yeah, yeah.
for an Obi-Wan
He didn't.
series.
He didn't say
Like,
I have a bad feeling about. Like I peeped that and I was
I
like,
have
you
a
should have
bad
had
feeling
multiple
about
bad feelings.
No one
Yeah,
actually
throughout
says
throughout
that.
this
This
No
entire
one says
series.
that at all.
Darth
Yeah.
Vader should have said it. He'd be like,
Yeah.
I got a bad
Should've
feeling.
said
I know.
I think it's because the bigger,
Kamal could have
like
said
the
it
bigger
back in the
meme was just the hello there.
Oh,
Where it's
that's
like
fair.
the bigger like.
But it was just more so people just in every Star Wars movie say it.
Yeah, if someone says it
Yeah.
in every Star Wars movie.
Yeah, but it was like I have a bad feeling. But like I
That
think
means the
because,
people who wrote
but also
this
it is
watch
because
Star
They're not fans.
They're not. They're not.
they're not
Fucking
with it.
fake, man. Sue it.
it.
Disney.
Yeah, good luck with that.
No,
Can you imagine that lawsuit?
I'm wrong tomorrow.
it's an Obi-Wan story, so it's just like you know, it would be cool if like you see the I have a bad feeling, but like it is the hello there. It is like that's specifically
That and him getting to
Obi-Wan.
his like offensive.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Ew.
That again, the choreography, just seeing that
Yeah.
and that angle, holy shit!
Going
I was
back to what
never
you
so
were saying,
hyped.
choreography's good
Yeah.
in this series.
Yeah. And
That opening wait.
That's
Oh,
a good
I can't afford that. But no, even the director in the beginning.
Deborah Chow,
yeah, Deborah Chow, when she's like protecting those younglings, choreography's sick in the
Yeah,
series.
that one
Yeah.
was that sequence.
Actually, you know
had
what?
me
Let's go
I'm not
there.
gonna lie.
How do you guys feel about the series as a whole?
whole?
We kind of talked about it, but let's just go around. How do you guys feel about it?
You're the only one that hasn't. On the short one.
yeah. Overall, I feel the series did what it was meant to do, which
Yeah.
was just show what Obi-Wan was doing in this moment, or even more so, show how Obi-Wan dealt with his own failure, right? And that to me was the theme or the point of the series, is to show Obi-Wan dealing with his failure, which is why for me, everything else in the series I really don't care that too much about, only because at the very end we have that moment, and for me it was like huge because there were all these asshole theories and stuff about how Ben Kenobi said to Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi that, he was like, you told me that Darth Vader killed my father. And Ben was like, well, when I explain it this way, he did.
And now,
from a certain point of
it.
view.
It's like, you didn't know about
Exactly. And now I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, why did you tell Luke that at all? There is no difference of perspective. He told you that. He literally said, I killed Anakin.
You know
and
what?
like that thing, but that to me, like, I don't care about the continuity there because it made sense. I like the fact that Anakin is the one who tells Obi-Wan,
I killed
Anakin.
Yeah.
I'm not your I'm not your failure.
Actually,
I enjoyed that immensely because it makes everything that Ben does in the first trilogy make sense.
Yeah.
It makes every single moment it makes that first battle that he has with Darth Vader at the end of A New Hope make sense. Why he stops fighting.
So detached. It was like, but I will say, even in that instance, watching the whole episode, it to me kind of didn't make sense in watching it, because it really was like, well, if you don't care, you might as well just finish the fight. It's kind of fucked up for you to like put this all on this kid to finish this fight.
Wait, what are you referring to?
Well, what I'm saying? It's like, it's kind of wild to me. It's like, if you don't care that like this is no longer Anakin, it's now Darth Vader. Well, it's like, well, why not just kill him? You already could.
Did you say you didn't care?
Well, he said like,
you're no longer my friend.
You're no longer my friend.
Is no longer
Yeah.
alive.
So it's like, well, then fucking kill him.
He hasn't.
Why did you leave? Why not
not
leave? Why did you leave? Why not just kill him? Why did you leave this to a child to grow up?
Because
to kill this person?
because that's what his master did.
Back in episode 1, that's what he knows. He's like, that's how it happened for me, and I turned out all right.
So
do that for Luke, and he'll be just fine.
It's a proven theory, right? So like, it was just kind of jarring to me, where it's like, well, then fucking kill him. He's already like not able to fight.
But that's also
so
not
you
the
might as
Jedi
well
way.
kill him.
Yeah, I'm
Right,
like,
it's
that's
not
not an
Jedi.
Obi-Wan fashion.
Yeah.
Like, he's not.
He's like, goodbye now.
Yeah, he's like, bye, vision.
So then you
So he calls him
go
Darth.
like that.
That was so weird.
That is very much an Anakin as kind of line.
But then you take,
he
then
called
you
him
take
Darth,
that, you
like,
take that
in the
thought,
original.
right?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Knowing that it's not the Jedi way, right? And everything we just talked
They killed a lot
about,
of
you
people.
take right,
Jedi,
but you take that thought of how they don't
He has
kill.
that shadow kill. They
Yeah.
don't show it on
You
screen.
know,
Yeah.
so-
He's like, boom.
They pretty much kill anybody attacking them until like they don't have a thing to attack them with, as long as it's not just fists for some reason.
Yeah.
But you take everything that you know about the Jedi Code and everything that we just talked about with, Obi-Wan dealing with his failure, Darth Vader admitting he killed Anakin, all of that, and then you flash forward to The Last Jedi, where Yoda says the Jedi need to end, and basically the Jedi Code is outdated, obsolete, and everybody who had believed in it at that point, we're all talking about how that had fucked up a lot of different shit.
I'm
Just
dead,
like our
I'm dead because
and
of
at
that.
that
Just
moment,
like our American Constitution.
right? And in that moment, you got Yoda, the huge guy saying, "We gotta end the Jedi Code," and right there, Luke's like, "Okay, I guess you're right." And then you just put all of that together, and it all ties into itself.
Going back to like the choreography, I thought it was a really nice change, because Obi-Wan is really known for his defensive like sword play or lightsaber play, right? And by him, he knows that like Anakin knows that's how he fights. He fights on the defensive, right? And Anakin fights in the offensive, right? And to have the choreography show that like Obi-Wan can also do this form was beautiful. To do the same moves that Anakin or Hayden Christensen does in the prequels was amazing, and I thought it was really good because Anakin, the biggest blindness that Darth Vader has is Anakin Skywalker,
Mhm.
and because he doesn't know how to defend against himself, right?
Yeah,
and
and
that's how
I
he
think the
wants.
comparison is episode 5, to
Yeah.
where they're literally talking about how Anakin's like, he can only see me.
Yeah,
Like,
no, exactly.
he thinks he knows what I'm doing.
Yeah,
He gets
yeah.
him in a corner and he's like, you have no weapon.
Yeah.
And it's like, fooled again, you idiot.
Yeah.
How have you
Did
not
you
learned?
forget?
You fought
Did you
this
forget
man
I
how
am a
many
Jedi?
times?
I have a
Fooled you.
force. That's always like the funniest thing to me because like, as you know, you're watching lightsaber duels and stuff, and then you see someone with a that used a lightsaber all the time, and then they throw a punch, and for some reason it surprises the shit out of you. Like,
Yeah.
oh shit, you have hands
Yeah.
and feet. Whoa! And I
That's
felt like
not
Anakin
all.
in that moment where Obi-Wan like fucking elbows him and shit, and I was like, whoa!
I love the scrappy fighting. I
Me
feel
too.
like
I love that
was
shit.
Good,
That was very,
like,
that was
embedded
very
con-
authentic.
context. Yeah, because he hasn't fought in how long? I mean, Vader's wilding out because he's angry.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan's like just kind of picking up shit he
Yeah,
can do and
literally.
keep
It's
up.
been a while.
Yeah.
I've been in that cave
No,
for 10 years.
seriously, I thought that was really great
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I've never seen Obi-Wan fight that uncomposed.
Yeah.
Like he was
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
doing what he could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just so
The only
emotional.
other
He
time
fought
was
with
close
his
to that was
passion.
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
General Grievous fight.
But
That's,
also-
that's the only other time.
But also
where he had
it-
to end it with a blaster.
It felt like it.
Um,
It felt like there was so many hints of the style that he was accustomed to in terms of the grace that he had when he was a Jedi. But it was
behind the back.
just like
Jump off a rock!
Yo, actually, that shit was a little goofy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I liked it. I
did
feel like
too.
there was a lot of good corny in this
Yeah.
last episode.
Yeah.
A lot of good. Just
Have you
campy
come to
stuff.
destroy me? What?
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I rag on Rise of Skywalker for the bad corny, but this is good corny.
Well, to me, knowing that every single person that read, you know, the original Star Wars script, all the way till it was edited and released, was like, this is the weirdest.
Oh yeah, Alec
dialogue
Guinness
I
was
have
like, I
ever
am a
fucking
professionally
seen."
trained actor. What the fuck am
Yeah,
I
he
doing?
was like,
George Lucas like, I'll give you 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's like, George,
Best
no
business
one
decision
talks
ever
like
made.
this.
Yeah.
Why? What is this dialogue? All of this sounds weird. And George
Yeah.
was like, not changing a fucking thing. And the rest of Star Wars after that was like, hey, he set the parameters.
Yeah.
We're
This
gonna
is
keep
the
following
president.
it.
Yeah.
let's rock
So
with
where
it.
do you guys think exactly that now that the series has ended? Obviously, there's only a certain window of time between like the end of this series to A New Hope. Where do you guys think that maybe not even like this series, but as Star Wars overall, where do you think that it's gonna go? In my opinion, I think Disney is just gonna continue to try and cash on this cash cap because that's all they look at it as.
This cash cow as in that period of time between
Yeah.
Revenge.
No, like
The
as
Star
Star
Wars
Wars
is
in
a
general.
franchise.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just
Oh,
see them.
yeah.
They just. I'm personally hoping that they'll realize that the fan base will stick around for a long formatted kind of series. Like I would love to see an Old Republic, like Game of Thrones kind of style of like
Yeah.
Star Wars. That would be
cool.
amazing. I
Yeah.
want to see the dark side as the dark side. I don't
Right.
need to see like and also like these stupid disclaimers where it's like some of this might be harmful for people's eyes.
Yeah.
What? There's nothing. Everything in that is not that bad. It's really
there was
not that bad.
nothing.
Yeah.
That I was
even
like,
remotely, like I think triggering to children,
Yeah.
like for that kind of
Yeah.
content in any part.
maybe
of
somebody
the
with some
series.
burn marks, like maybe that.
I always thought it just meant
Yeah,
the fact, you know.
I forgot about
flashing
that.
lights
Ooh.
and
That was
stuff,
the part.
and if you've got
That
it.
was
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
triggering.
That's what I always thought it was for.
I mean, it's
People with
definitely for
epilepsy.
like killing the
epilepsy?
younglings. But
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
because like all
see
the
it.
flashing
So
lights,
it's
the
like-
lasers.
But
Yeah.
why
and
would you
stuff
say,
like
"Hey,
that.
epilepsy warning,"
I
instead of being like,
I
"This will
haven't a
trigger
goddamn
you"?
clue. You have to fucking clue.
I
I haven't a
have no
clue.
idea.
There are so many things that are like, hey, may induce seizures, you know, and I'm like, okay, cool, I understand that, but like if it said that, my mind would not go, oh, for epilepsy.
That'd be a
But,
wild.
like,
I'm waiting-
that's only because I would just think a little bit.
It wasn't nearly enough like twirling lightsabers for it to be like, you might get a seizure from this.
But I mean,
But there's
I,
a
people
lot of
can't have
blaster
sensitivity to
fire.
that.
There was a lot of
A
blaster.
lot of blaster fire, a lot of
Yeah.
lasers, a lot of explosions.
I don't know. I don't know. I generally. I mean, it was for the younglings, but even then you didn't see it, so it's like
Yeah.
who cares?
You just had Hayden Christensen making that grimace, and you're like,
No.
"I'm terrified."
I'm scared now.
But I don't know. I guess in terms of like where the series or where Disney will take it, I'm not sure. I hope they quit with this period of time. I don't really want to keep focusing on what happened in between these large stretches between the originals and sequels or prequels. I'm over this period of time. From what I've heard of the other shows, they're really digging in deep with every conceivable character and telling you what they've been doing after Return. I really want them to leave that. I'd really like them to venture off and do entirely new planets, entirely new characters. I'd want to see something new that I can't even be mad at you fucking up things I care about.
That's what I've always wanted to, because Knights of the Old Republic to me was an amazing game and story because it had literally nothing to do
several thousand years.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with Skywalker.
And now it doesn't at all, right? It's not even canon.
Yeah, it's not even canon. Yeah, so like for me, what I want them to break away from the Skywalker stories. I want them to break away from, this is the only family that's, super strong enough, and their only thing that matters. So unless they had to deal with the Skywalkers, we're not going to see anything about these people. Yeah. I don't want that because everybody's always talking about shit we've seen before.
Right.
I want to see, as Shaylin's saying, I want to see something brand new. I want to see people who have no inclination of the Jedi, no inclination of the Sith, and a person in that village is force sensitive, and we're the Jedi that does end up there has nothing to do, or the Sith that ends up there has nothing to do with the people that we've seen. Let it be a completely different time period, whether it be future or past. It will be new because it's not going to be Skywalker.
I think give any director Star Wars. Yeah. I think it'll get scary, but they'll do some shit. Yeah. Like we're gonna get away. Don't give it to Colin Trevorrow.
You know what
I'll
kill
someone.
We know what I actually would like.
I'll take a life.
You know what I actually would like? Because I'm not necessarily against keeping the Skywalkers involved, but they're not the primary focus, right? Where it's like Kylo Ren is still. Well, no, Kylo Ren's fucking dead. Never mind. But wait, no. Is Kylo Ren dead?
Yeah.
He dies.
He's dead.
Fucking A. Well then, yeah. I think
we have only one Skywalker left, and that's Rey, who named herself Skywalker.
Stupid as fuck. But
which is like we literally.
Even if that's the case, I'm not against Skywalker still being involved in the universe, but they're not necessarily the focus. I would like to see more stories involving younglings or just people who are force sensitive in the universe and how they deal with being force sensitive in this universe. If there is an antagonist involved, I hope it's not like the same thing. I don't want to see Ian McDiarmid at all. You know what I'm saying? Like I hope it's not the same thing we've seen before, but it's just something completely new or just a whole different force that is challenging these younglings or like a reason for these younglings to be involved in this chaos. And maybe the Skywalkers try to reform the Jedi Order. That's actually
so bad at it. They are so bad at everything they try to do.
But what if they actually try to make a Jedi Order that is different? There's a reason for the Skywalker name to actually live on, so that he has to live with that regret. But like,
agreed.
You know what I'm saying?
Less about living on the Skywalker name, more about living with regret.
Living with the regret, where it gives him motivation to try to be a better person and to establish an order of being a Jedi, but then having forced to reestablish what a Jedi even is. Where like you have to try to balance compassion with duty. You know what I mean? Where it's like you have to protect the universe, but you also have to be a human being. And for Kylo Ren, if he was the person to live, if he was the person to be the last Skywalker or the rise of the Skywalkers, he has to live with that and to establish an order we've never seen before. That would have been fucking amazing. But we have Rey. So it's like, okay, if that's the case, if we have a Skywalker, then at the very least try to reformat what a Jedi even could be in this
but that's my point.
Landscape.
My point is the minute when we introduce a Skywalker, there are expectations that are met as to where the story needs to go and what to do. Introduce a brand new person that could be going through the same things a Skywalker is going through. Right?
He is.
The actor from.
But that's what I'm saying. Was like
you could 100% take the same elements that a Skywalker is going through because they are universal elements, right? But they don't have the name Skywalker. That completely makes that just makes brand new expectations or brand new discoveries as to where they could go, what they could do.
But even
we
then,
won't have to worry about them. I don't know. We won't have to assume that they are going to do a thing that's going to change the entire fate of the galaxy, because that's what a Skywalker does.
But even then, you could do what The Last Jedi didn't, or the new trilogy didn't do, where in the sense of the Skywalker's importance in the universe, maybe having Rey say, like, we need Skywalkers in the universe, and having this new protagonist be actually against that, where it's like, do we actually need a Skywalker? What is a Skywalker gonna do for this new galaxy, or this new order that's gonna actually promote a different mindset of what a Jedi could be? Challenge that idea. What is a Jedi? What is actually a Jedi? Is it actually good for the universe? What does it mean to be a police force for the fucking universe? Can you be a human being and also be a Jedi? Can you have passion and also be stoic? Can you live a normal life but also abide by a set of rules that make sure that people can live in peace? That's a thing where I would love to see. Challenge the idea of what a Jedi is. And I feel like that's a good landscape of what we can take Star Wars, where we can actually, hell, fuck it. If we can make an antagonist, and not necessarily an antagonist in the sense of they're going to destroy the universe, but just a philosophical landscape, we can challenge what a Skywalker is. We can challenge the idea of what a Skywalker is supposed to do and bring balance to the universe, in the sense of every Skywalker that's been here has brought chaos and then quelled the chaos that was brought by a Skywalker. Because the Skywalker never actually brings peace to the universe. They're just trying to clean up the fuck up that the last Skywalker did.
Yeah.
So it's like...
But that's
Real
Go
brief.
ahead.
Yeah,
Go
we're
ahead.
about to hit 10. I do have to go because
Okay.
I need to work tomorrow.
All right, let's just
We
rewind.
can just
Yeah,
yeah.
let's just
if we
pick-
can just like I don't know how much more
Yeah,
we
we
want
can
to
just
do.
wrap it
All
up.
Yeah,
right,
let's
all
wrap
right, okay, let's just wrap up real quick. All right, cool. That's a great response, Fumba.
I mean, we
No,
like final thoughts.
No, like
Fine.
I mean, the guys' overall ratings that you guys will give for this Obi-Wan Kenobi limited series. Doesn't need to be a long one, just a numerical value that you want to give out of 10.
Out of 10,
Yeah.
I would give this a 5 out of 10. Honestly, I would say that it does what it needs to do. It doesn't give me anything that I wasn't expecting. It doesn't really surprise me. But there was a lot that I could enjoy about it. You know, the visuals, cinematography, the choreography in it. But because of that, it just seems really like base. It doesn't really seem to.
It doesn't dig deep.
Yeah, it doesn't change too much or add anything really to me. It just shows something that we could have all figured happened.
Great, Fumba.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Even though I came in with no real big expectations, it was still a bit disappointing in how formulaic all the extra characters were. I really did wish that it was more focused on the aspect of Vader and Obi-Wan. And like, it is what it is. It's not 4 out of 10 doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad series, but it was surprisingly a letdown for me. Where it's like, yeah, it's cool. Like, I can't be mad at it, but I was let down by how just traditional and by the books it actually turned out to be. Even more so than what I expected to be. So
Great.
it's cool.
Chandler.
No, I'm in the same boat. 4 out of 10 for me. It's been a hard time watching this series, to be honest. It's been a pretty big disappointment, but I think the only saving grace in the last 2 episodes for me have been that relationship between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. That's been the only thing. And come to think of it, I think the final episode of the final moments of season 6, where you get to see, I think, Leia, or episode 6.
I would love 6 seasons of this.
It'd be a different conversation if it was season 6. But Leia and Obi-Wan, I think it does bring their relationship into fruition, and it shows you why would she name her kid Ben?
Yeah.
Like, why would she call him this guy
Yeah.
in the beginning of A New Hope? It makes sense to me. The beginning steps of getting there, first couple episodes, it was a little forced, but where we ended up, we got to point B. And after 6 episodes of a lot of bullshit, like, I'm just happy we got to point B So I think the ending point I can accept. I think Obi-Wan and Vader are the only highlights, and that's really what I came there for.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't really come here to understand
Yeah.
what relationship these side characters would have. I didn't have hope for them. I
Right.
never did. So the fact that they basically fell flat, I'm not really mad at. I feel vindicated, if anything. So,
Cool.
yeah, 4 out of 10 for me. Eddie?
I want, like, for me, like, I want to give it a higher rating. Like, I want to give it a 6 and a 7, right?
Yeah.
Because Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, and you can see it on the people that are, like, in the series. Everybody wants to be there.
Yeah.
It's just, it's really what dings it. I don't think it's any of the creatives. I think it's the corporate and
It's just
Disney.
time.
Yeah, and it's the limited time that they gave to this. I still believe that it should have been at least 3 seasons. Second season with Mace Windu. I'm just saying. I think that'd be amazing.
Forever.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I honestly am surprised we have seen almost everybody fucking come back except Mace Windu.
He needs to. Actually, if Disney was to continue on these limited series, come on, where's my guy?
I highly doubt he's not. They're relentless.
Yeah.
They're pathetic with how much they will scrape to do.
They
Yeah.
brought Darth
And also
Maul
Samuel
back
Jackson
and
will
Mace Windu back.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
He's already said he's down for it.
Yeah.
He'll do it.
As he
for
was
sure.
dying, he was like, I'll come back though.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan
Yeah.
See y'all in 20 years.
No, I'd be down to see Mace Windu, even if it's a cash grab. I'd be down.
Yeah, and like we'd probably have the relatively same like outcome of it because it's 6 episodes that it's rushed and stuff like that. But
give me
to
a
be
Mace
honest,
Windu movie.
yeah, but like we'd also it'd be something outside of the Skywalker kind of ideology, you know. But for this to genuinely, I'm kind of in that same boat. I'm in like a 4 and 5 kind of area. 4.5, I guess, would be my rating for it. You know, there's so much hope for it, and I love everybody loves these characters, and I think the characters that came over from the prequels were obviously the strongest ones.
Would you have a New Hope if Samuel Jackson would have come back?
Would I have a New Hope,
Yeah.
or was the movie? Have a New Hope?
Like would we
What?
get it?
I was like, is this a pun? Or
I was trying to do something.
It sounds like you're.
You asked me too casually, because I was like, maybe it's not a joke in here.
It
Like,
sounds like you're forcing that along.
I like how you did
Yeah.
that.
did you?
That was good.
But you know that's what's coming next though. A Mace Windu limited series.
I'd be ready for it. I'd be ready. Would you guys want to see a Mace Windu limited series? What do you guys think of Obi-Wan Kenobi limited series? Leave your comments, likes, and subscribe down below. This is Star Talks. Good night.